Hello, this is Margaret Abramshe, and for my career, I chose to be an art teacher. It was a wonderful, wonderful profession. And I'm going to share with you some lessons that I learned along the way that will help you with your studio practice. I have a BA and a master's in art, and I taught in public school settings until I retired in 2014. After that, I went full board into art quilting. I became a juried art member in 2015, and I spend most of my time in my studio. So what do art teachers teach? Well, they teach from an established curriculum based on standards. Art in schools is not really driven by media. The goal of an art teacher is to develop creative thinkers, people that will do well with 21st century skill sets. Here are the lessons. Use the language of art. Build some background knowledge. Apply past skills in areas of expertise. Use a systematic practice to improve and create a body of work with your voice. Using the language of art means using the elements and principles. The elements are the parts of art, not unlike a part of a car. As artists, we should practice using language just like a salesman does when communicating with any audience, large or small. Here's a poster that used to hang in my classroom. On the left are the elements and on the right are the principles. I'm happy to say that not only did my students really know this vocabulary, they also knew how to apply these concepts to improve their own work. The principles of design describe how the elements are organized. Compositional choices are explained using these terms. It helps your audience understand that art is more than process. It's an intellectual process. It's an intellectual process that requires choice. Let's try this. So here in this composition of my grandson, you can see line at work. You can see values from darks to lights, a limited use of color, and textures created with thread. In this composition, let's use the principles. We've got a visual pathway that leads us to a point of emphasis. We have patterns created. We have rhythm with lots of curvy lines, and we have contrast between dark and light. We also need to build background knowledge. As art majors, we took lots and lots of art history courses, but luckily you don't have to do that. Through the internet, you can go to any museum in the world and build your understanding of the history of art, trying to stretch yourself intellectually beyond what you know now. Don't forget that there are current artists, not just artists from the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, but think about people working today. Artists like Ai Weiwei, Jeff Koons, or one of my favorites, David Hockney. If you were a scientist or a mathematician or a business person, remember, your life is a resource, so use it. Use your experiences when you are creating your art. They are part of creating art that is you. Here's an example. This happens to be my grandson, and he's the son of my adopted daughter. And in this DNA, I'm exploring the ideas of genetics playing a role, an important role, in who we are and who we become. Critique is probably one of the most important things that artists do. When you're learning critique, you want to use a systematic practice. Here's the Feldman Method, which is pretty common in art classrooms. First, you describe, then you analyze, then you interpret, and last, you judge. So let's try it. This is an organic shape. It has values from very dark to very light, creating a sense of unity. And of course, looking at this, I think Edward Weston's picture is an absolute stunning success. Remember, when offering critique, you want to be sure that you're being helpful. You can start with sentences such as, I might try, or what stands out for me. Remember, the feedback you give should be balanced, honest, appropriate, targeted, useful, and above all, short. Creating a body of work says what you want to say to the world. So remember, when you're creating that body of work, you want to consider, yes, art history, you want to consider composition, but you want to speak in a way that is you. It explains your experience. A body of work is comprised of multiple pieces that are cohesive. To create cohesive work, they might be similar sizes, or like these three pieces, a similar theme and subject, a genre, a technique, an arrangement of elements, or similar compositional qualities. Above all, remember that there is much more to art than technique. First, we master a technique, then we have to dive deeper, much deeper into who we are, what we know, where our work rests in the history of art and in contemporary art. I want to thank you. I am Margaret Abramshe, and if you want to learn a little more about me or reach out, check out my website, metaphysicalquilter.com.